All right, it looks like it's taking it now.
Nice
All right,
job, sir.
it looks like we're live. I don't know what happened there, but sorry for the delay, folks. All right, we're live.
John,
You're
you're
on
John, you're
mute.
muted.
John.
You're muted.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting of May. Apologies for the late start. There was a technical glitch. We couldn't get this YouTube stream going, so Dave beat the computer with a baseball bat a few times and
Pretty much.
finally got it going. So we got a lot to get to tonight, so let's get going.
Okay, sorry for the delay, folks. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach held Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Delury,
Present.
Councilmember Mandel,
Present.
Councilmember Treston,
Present.
Vice President McGinnis,
Present.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Donna Gaden and Deputy Corporation Counsel Richard Barrios. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
All right, and Councilwoman Treston, would you please lead us?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So why don't we start with the city manager's report?
Good evening, everyone. In light of our full agenda, I just have one person reporting, and that's Mr. John McNally.
Good evening, everybody. And per Donna and per the agenda, I will try and keep it as short and sweet as possible. Normally, I would give our COVID update, but there has been a whole slew of updates related to COVID, almost all of it good, relatively speaking. So positivity rates are down and the governor is opening up a whole lot of activities. I will work with our PR department and communication teams to get a comprehensive update on what this means for all activities within the next couple of days up on our website and up on social media. But as I said, positivity rates are down and the governor is opening up a whole slew of things and lessening restrictions. So it's good news. The one thing we don't have real clarity on right now that's of most importance or of most importance to at least the council is beach capacity. So we're still lying in wait with that. On other fronts, City Manager Gaden has had conversations with the owner of the foundation block. And we are pleased to report that owner, Mr. Alpert and the Alpert family, has agreed to once again allow the city to have daytime parking on that lot. In addition to that, it's for the upcoming season, no promises beyond that. But in addition to that, there is also a lot owned by that family between Laurelton and Lafayette Boulevards. And they have agreed to, for the first time ever, allow daytime parking on that lot as well. So folks may have noticed activity there. We have our street maintenance and beach maintenance crews leveling that out and putting fill in. That's what that's all about. So there will be, this summer, there will be several hundred additional spots that will be able to handle the daytime influx of parking with visitors. That should greatly reduce the competition and strain on what is typical residential parking for within the city. That should help ameliorate some of that problem. So good news coming from me tonight. And that's the conclusion of my report, unless there are any questions.
That is the conclusion of the manager's report tonight.
All right. So, all right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of it. Let's get to the public hearings.
Okay, our first public hearing for this evening is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 229 East Park Avenue street floor for an outdoor dining area for the neighboring health food smoothie store. If the proprietor is on the meeting, please use the raise your hand function so I can unmute you. There you are. 1 second. And Mr. Kelly, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Vincent Guerrero here. I'm here with Ben Ferrante as well.
Hi, this is Dennis Kelly, the attorney for Golden Era LBNY Inc. And here with me, as you already know, is Vincent Garone, who owns Golden Era LBNY, and Mr. Ferrante, who owns the premises in which Golden Era LBNY is a tenant. The tenant, Golden Era, is located between Long Beach and Monroe Boulevards on the north side of East Park Avenue at 227 East Park Avenue. It's the most eastern end of that line of stores that runs from west to east. And next to that premises is also another lot, which is known as, and you can actually look it up, 229 East Park Avenue, which is owned by Mr. Ferrante. Mr. Ferrante is also the landlord for Golden Era at 227 East Park. Golden Era is a health and nutrition store selling smoothies, health supplements, and prepackaged food. They're seeking an off-street parking variance or waiver for the lot next door, which is 20 by 100. And they are looking to put tables and chairs and a grill in the lot for the purposes of selling burgers, grilled chicken, smoothies, non-alcoholic beverages, and skewers. I have Mr. Garone with us. Like I said, I'll ask that he be allowed to address the council, and then Mr. Ferrante after him. And then obviously we're prepared to answer any questions the council may have. Vinny?
Yes. Hello. This is Vincent Garone again. Nice to speak to all of you. Just dittoing what Dennis Kelly just mentioned. We're looking to just expand on the store that's here and put out some outside seating so people could sit down, have a nice healthy meal, a smoothie, possible grilled chicken, as well as any kind of healthy foods, salads and stuff that we will be preparing here at Golden Era. And also we'll be grilling some barbecue skewers, as well as burgers and some grilled chicken.
Mr. Garone, Dennis Kelly, can you tell the council a little bit about your background relative to Golden Era and where you are now and how this idea has developed?
Yes, we actually picked up, we bought from Rift. It was a health food store prior. My son was the manager there and he has a passion for this. So we purchased this and we started building this back in the beginning of 2020. Unfortunately, after the grand opening, within 3 weeks, all the gyms and the restaurants, everything closed. However, we did stay open due to the selling of the vitamins and stuff like that. We were still considered essential. However, we took a very big, heavy hit. We stayed in business barely, but we did well. Mr. Ferrante worked with us, and we weathered the storm, if you will, and things are opening up now. This has been a dream of my son's, and I'm still working to make sure we could fulfill this and be a good addition to Long Beach.
Mr. Ferrante, you have anything to say?
Yeah, just to reiterate everything Vinny said, obviously, they opened up the business and literally 3 weeks later, everything got shut down. And for the past year, as things have been reopening, my experience, they own multiple properties in town, have different kinds of tenants. The one that's still struggling the most, the types of businesses are these gyms and fitness type places. The restrictions are still pretty restringent on them, and he's struggled for an entire year. So I have this empty lot next door. I pay taxes on it, $7,000 a year. It's doing nothing. And Vinny had an idea of, maybe we'll do some outside stuff. I thought it was a great idea. Obviously, You got the gym on the corner over here, Hollywood, who just renovated and looks great, and he's doing a nice job over there. And want to just contribute, be an asset to the community. I think healthy food, outside dining, there's nothing like it in town. I think it would be a positive thing. So I'm here to lend my support to them any way I can.
Just so, Mr. President, just so the council's clear, I may have misspoken. It's going to have tables that can accommodate 32 people. I think I might have said 32 tables. Its hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. They will hire 6 to 8 new employees who will be on shifts, obviously working at the outdoor seating area. And obviously, Mr. Garone has expressed to me that his hope is that the 6 to 8 will be younger people who are actually living in Long Beach. And all of his present employees are residents of Long Beach. So if the council has any questions, I think the three of us are ready to give you the best answers we can.
Dennis, this is Liz Trustin. I just for clarification, you said 32 tables or 32 chairs?
30, accommodate 32 people. Enough tables and chairs, Councilwoman Trustin, to accommodate 32 people. I did misspeak.
It has 8 tables on the document and
Oh, okay.
32 chairs. Okay.
That would be accurate.
All right, thank you.
The food that you're proposing to prepare out time, the skewers, the burgers, the chicken, the things like that, do you prepare that now currently inside the store, or this will be new additions to what you do?
This would be new additions. We do have meals in the store, however, they're pre-prepared.
Okay. And you said Dennis said the hours are going to be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you're going to do breakfast as well?
Yes, we were proposing to do some egg sandwiches or
Yeah.
anything like that, or protein pancakes in the healthy realm. We're all about health.
Okay. So do you anticipate then you'll be getting deliveries of supplies and stuff? And if so, how often do you anticipate getting a delivery?
Well, we get deliveries now. It's usually about once a week.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions from the council members? I got one more. So given your location, obviously being close to Long Beach Road, parking's a bit of an issue, except for the center median. You might want to give some thought to maybe, since you're going to be adding 32 chairs, maybe putting in a bike rack or two in, so people could potentially get over to you easier.
Absolutely. I discussed that actually with Ben just a couple of days ago, and we're trying to figure a good spot for it, and we'll definitely run that by everybody prior to, but definitely we're looking to put some bike racks there for sure.
Great. Okay. So last call, any questions from the council? Seeing none. Dave, do we have any from the public?
No hands raised at this time.
Okay, I'm going to close the hearing, and so we don't have to keep the gentleman waiting. Why don't we vote on this now?
Okay, this is for calendar item number 2, which is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 229 East Park Avenue, street floor for an outdoor dining area for the neighboring health food smoothie store. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Trustin,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes, good luck, and look forward to trying your food.
Thank you
I
very
hope to
much.
see you all soon. Please come in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right, have a great night.
You
too.
too.
You too.
All right,
All right.
our second public hearing is for a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 891B West Beach Street for an ice cream shop. If the proprietor is on, please use the raise your hand function. There you are. I will allow, there you are. Okay, Melissa?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Melissa. So can you tell us a little bit about what your business will be?
Yes, so Tipsy Scoop, we have 2 locations in both Brooklyn and Manhattan right now and are looking to open in Long Beach in the West End. We make liquor infused ice cream that is up to 5% alcohol by volume, inspired by different cocktails. So ice cream and sorbet that contains an alcohol content for those 21 and over only. And then we have some non-alcoholic options for kids and those who do not wish to consume alcohol.
Okay, so you probably just answered my first question. So you will cater to both the adults and the children then with with 2 different products.
Yes.
Okay. So just for the edification of the people listening, the spot is the old Codfish Cowboy in the West End.
Exactly.
So just so people know where we're talking about. And the ice cream, because I noticed I'm looking at your little picture you got on a screen here. It's pre-prepared pints. Is the ice cream all pre-packed or do you scoop?
Sorry, I don't know how to change my picture. I was
No, that's okay.
But so we actually have a few different revenue streams. So we sell our ice cream wholesale to different grocery retailers. So that's what my picture is of the pints of ice cream that are sold throughout the country to different grocery and specialty food retailers. And then we have our brick and mortar shops, which is what we would be opening in the West End of Long Beach. So we do the pints there. We would do ice cream by the scoop and some specialty sundaes, including some fun sort of beach themed sundaes as well.
Okay, great. Deliveries, do you anticipate, I assume you'll get deliveries. About how frequently do you anticipate getting deliveries?
Yeah, so our freezer storage is actually in Bayshore, and they will be delivering to us on Monday mornings, anywhere from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay, so it sounds like once a week. All right. And it's looking at the paperwork, looks like you're anticipating 3 employees.
Yeah, we should have 3 to 4 employees. It will be a seasonal business, open from April through potentially December, depending on how the season ends up.
Okay, so you anticipate being a seasonal, open seasonally.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. Any questions from the council members?
Nothing specifically. I know that we need to put our carding invoice into your system somehow, which I believe we can do following this meeting, as well as the fire department requirements. The requirements are a little bit different from New York City, so we're just catching up at this point. But
Okay. Sorry, I do have one. The ice cream that has the alcohol content,
Yes.
does it require a liquor license?
That is a great question. No, it does not. So we have been declared by New York State and also the TTB, which is the Federal Alcohol and Tobacco Bureau, as a non-beverage. So we're not required to have a liquor license, though we are required to have 3 callouts of alcohol on our packaging, which you'll probably notice from my picture here. So we have government warnings, alcohol warnings on the packaging, and have to card end consumers to ensure that they're 21 and over if they are purchasing any of our alcohol infused products.
Okay, great. So I'll do one more call for the council members if they have any questions. All right, seeing none. Dave, do we have any from the public?
Yes, we do. Roy Lester.
Okay.
Go ahead, Roy. Roy, go ahead and unmute.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Okay. John, I guess I'm a little upset because I had no idea this was serving alcohol, even though it doesn't require a liquor license. The fact that they're not allowing minors to take it means that it has a potential of abuse. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you know, when you put ice cream shop, nobody would know that this is an alcohol, you know, a place to get alcohol. And, you know, I'm part of the Coalition Against Underage Drinking. And the worst thing for me is seeing something that, you know, kids would like that could get them intoxicated. And I just think it would have been better to say, not just put it as an ice cream shop, but an ice cream shop that served frozen alcohol. Because people who are concerned about it, especially Judy Vining, has absolutely no idea this is going on. And
Okay.
John, I never speak against resolutions granting waiver of off-street parking, but this bothers me that nobody had any idea that there was alcohol involved here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Roy. Anyone else, Dave?
Yes, William Depper.
Okay,
Go ahead, sir. Oh,
I think we lost him.
I think we lost him. Hold on, let me look. He's on twice. That's might be why.
No, I'm not
William.
on.
Okay.
Well,
Thank-
William, do you still wish to speak?
Yeah, because I have the same concern that Roy Lester has, because I see a lot of people, they'll take it and then they'll throw it in a garbage. There'll be kids out there who will grab it, then consume it. And also, does she have the letter to provide to you that states that you don't need a liquor license to serve it in her store?
well, in actuality, I'll jump in on that because when I found out about this afternoon, I didn't realize also I found out this afternoon that some of the ice cream was alcohol infused. I contacted our corporation counsel, and they had dug into this as well. And what Ms. Tavis said is right, that they do not require a liquor license, just the special packaging that identifies that there is alcohol in the ice cream, but this does not require a liquor license.
Yeah, but the people they're going to hire, are they going to be 18 or are they going to be 21 and over to be able to serve it to people and ask for their proof?
I'll let the owner answer that.
So thank you for all the questions, and apologies if anything was unclear. There was limited space to say ice cream shop, but of course we'll be transparent about the fact that it is alcohol infused ice cream. Tipsy Scoop has been in business since 2013, one of the few first alcohol infused ice cream shops to come on the market. And we are both TTB approved, so federally approved, and state approved as a non-beverage. So we do have letters from both New York State and federal approvals for formulas for each of our alcohol infused ice cream recipes as a non-beverage. So happy to share that with anybody who needs that as well. As a general rule, we do not need to hire people 21 or over to serve our ice cream, but we do only hire people 21 or over to serve our ice cream, as they have more of a bartender knowledge of the different flavors, and then are actually able to speak to the different flavors since they've been able to sample them. So as a rule for our business, we do that, though it's not required that we hire people 21 or over, if that hopefully answers the question. And just to kind of speak to the business in general, we do have several non-alcoholic flavors that we serve as well. We go over the top to sort of drive home that this is alcohol infused ice cream that's 21 and over only. I myself have a 3-year-old. I would never want him to consume anything with alcohol. So we make sure that the kid-friendly options and the adult options are clearly labeled and, packaged as such.
Ms. Tavis, does Tipsy Scoop operate in any other capacity on the Barrier Island?
So we have a sort of pop-up cart in Atlantic Beach at a restaurant called Beginnings. And I believe are sold to a few specialty food retailers in Long Island that might be covered in the the Barrier Island region, but that's the extent of our business in Long Beach to this point.
All right, Mr. Depper, you have any more questions or?
No, that's it. That's it for that.
All right, thank you. Liz?
I'm sorry, I have a quick question. Just out of curiosity, mostly, how much is a pint of ice cream?
So the cost for a pint of ice cream is $12 a pint. So since it does contain alcohol, it is a little bit on the pricier side. Our non-alcoholic pints, I believe, are $8 a pint.
Okay. Dave, any more from the public?
Yes, Kate Tormey.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Kate. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you. I have a question for the business owner. I'm curious in the time, I think it's a very fun idea, but I have concerns as a nurse and a grandmother and a mother in terms of the possibilities of things that could happen. I'm just wondering, since 2013, since you've been in business in multiple places, do you have any suits against you in regard to children or anybody doing the wrong thing in regard to this? It might be a very sort of out there question, but I'm just curious if there's been a problem with this at all.
No, Kate, thank you for asking, because that's an important question to address. So our ice cream that is sold in grocery stores and in any of our brick and mortar locations is scanned with a barcode like a beer or wine. So anybody who is checking anybody out at the register is alerted to, check for ID. So we haven't had any issues there. Again, the sort of regulations regarding food products that contain alcohol, because this is a new category, are quite strict with the labeling requirements. So we haven't had any issues where anybody 21 or under has purchased any ice cream containing alcohol.
Okay, has not necessarily purchased, but has consumed. You haven't gotten any reports of any people under 21 consuming your ice cream? I'm saying by mistake is what I would assume, but you haven't gotten any kind of reports of that since 2013?
No reports of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Anyone else, Dave?
Nope, that was all.
Okay, so let's close the hearing, and why don't we go ahead and move to the vote?
Okay, so this is with item number 3 in the regular calendar. This is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 891B West Beach Street, street floor for an ice cream shop. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Abstain.
Councilmember Mandel,
At this time, I'm going to vote, and I've never done this on a variance application before. I think just because I first found out that this has alcohol at this meeting, I was actually going to make a motion to table to allow Long Beach Aware and the West End neighbors to maybe do their research and move this to the next meeting to give everybody an opportunity to really explore this. But absent tabling it, I have to vote no at this time because I'm just finding out now about the alcohol content. Not commenting on the quality of the product. I'll probably be a customer, but in all fairness, I think we probably should give another 2 weeks to let it have a full dialogue. So at this point, if we're having a vote, I have to vote no.
Councilmember Treston,
Can Mr. Barrios? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can we ask the applicant to send us some information regarding, or is it redundant because this is only the parking permit and we're going too deep into the woods?
Well, I think essentially, Miss Melissa, how do you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry.
It's tabs.
Tabs? Okay. Miss Tabs has basically laid out to you the requirements, I guess, of her operating her business, right? What you're voting on is the variance itself. Tabling it, there's no harm in tabling it and asking for supplemental information if that's indeed what you want. And to
Yeah,
Councilman
I can
Mandel's point,
certainly provide that.
we can always have other people.
Yes, we can
Okay.
certainly provide that. We also have, you know, we're hoping for good things during this meeting. So we also have the food department approval plans as well. So we can send you all that.
So with that, would the council have a motion different than what the motion's currently on the floor?
I'll move to table.
Oh, hold on. We're still in the middle of this. Rich, would I have to have President Bendo withdraw his introduction of this item?
I'd recommend that, yeah.
President Bendo?
Okay, before I do that, Ms. Tabbs, let me just ask, if we delay this a couple of weeks to vote so people can get the additional information, will that adversely impact you?
Yes. We were hoping to open for Memorial Day weekend. So yes. But happy to send any additional information needed, of course, and have also, as I said, gotten approval on layout plans from the NASA Health Department as well.
Gotcha. Ms. Tabbs, we have our next meeting on the 18th. So you'll have time.
Okay, can I ask what is required to get together by then?
Scott, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say what Mr. Barrows said. Our next meeting is on the 18th, so that would give ample time. And my thought was it just gives an opportunity for anybody who wasn't aware that this product contains alcohol to research it. It's plenty of time for them to gather their thoughts and participate in the meeting on the 18th. And then we have a full dialogue and we could vote.
Is there any actual specific information, Councilwoman Treston, that you're looking for? So Melissa can prepare that?
No, I mean, because I read the whole documents, I knew that, and the title is Tipsy, kind of gives it away, that we should all have that opportunity if no one is fully aware, because to me, it's like chocolate, alcohol chocolate. You can get that in a store as well.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Taz, it sounds like the council would just like to have an opportunity for some of the stakeholders in Long Beach to kind of comment or ask questions of you. So what we'll do is once President Bendo and another motion is made, we can basically have this meeting on the 18th, and any questions outstanding will be raised, asked, answered, and then we'll have a full vote. So I don't think you have to prepare any documentation.
May I suggest, Donna, may I suggest that if the council has any additional questions that they would like to have answered, to send those to Rich right away so that he can get in touch with her and that she can be prepared coming to the meeting, not us asking for things at the next meeting.
Great suggestion.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little concerned about timeline for opening for the summer in that case.
Well, Ms. Tabs, once we have the meeting on the 18th, assuming the council votes yes, then you'll be in time for Memorial Day weekend, right? So you should be okay. I think you should be okay, but if you're not, you can let us know.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I just mean in terms of like construction and moving forward.
Not sure of a question. This is Councilman Delory. Ms. Tafts, I think the biggest concern that at least I have and others have is opening a seasonal business that has, when I'm looking at a picture called Spiked, I'm looking at a picture called Vodka. It's in the shape of an ice cream container. I think when there is alcohol involved in an ice cream container, it's my, I would like to know more detail of where have you operated before? in what community, how it was sold, and your the requirements of the people that you will hire as far as, I imagine you'll be serving non-alcoholic ice cream as well. I think that's the biggest concern. I'd like to hear of the from the community members in the West End specifically about any concerns about this as well. So I know your timing is critical, but I just think it's critical for us to have the right information as well. Thank you.
I have two questions or comments. The first off is that your website, I found it extremely informative when I researched it over the weekend. I couldn't believe how many comments you had, and it was just beautifully designed. I saw that you have two locations, one in Brooklyn and one in New York City. So I was just curious to ask Rich Barrios if there was, in terms of the zoning board, they can grant certain permissions with conditions. Is the city allowed to do the same in terms of a business?
Well, remember, so this is just for
Yes.
off-street parking variance, right?
Right, so the business is
Ms.
happening.
Ms. Tabs has already represented to you, and I agree that the operation of her business is completely legitimate. The only
Right.
issue before the council is whether or not she satisfies the criteria for the off-street parking variance.
So that's
Right.
what we're debating, and so that's what we should be entertaining discussion on.
Correct.
To my point about tabling, while I agree, our jurisdiction is solely on the parking. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to the public and residents that there are certain organizations we know in Long Beach that have an interest in this area. And I'm not saying that we would necessarily be swayed by their position, but they should at least have an opportunity to present that position. I don't think 2 weeks is a hardship to delay this for a vote, which may eventually be a positive vote. But I think it's probably unfair to not have West End neighbors, which I'm assuming would have been present speaking on this, and Long Beach aware. And I think we have an obligation to those entities to at least hear them and give them an opportunity. They may not show up in 2 weeks. They may not have an issue with this, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give them that opportunity.
I understand your point, and I think this is maybe a procedural issue that we could work on in the future, because this was posted on the website on Friday. So it obviously means that either us in the city or somehow need to notify the relevant parties in a more timely fashion, or maybe that's not what you're inferring. But in terms of 2 weeks for a small business owner, that's an eternity, is my personal feeling.
Well, we all have one vote. I suggest we kind of move along, do something one way or the other.
You're on mute, President Bendo.
All right, so Rich, I guess since we're in the middle of the vote, do we have to complete the vote, or Dave? I guess this is a
Well,
this is a little odd.
President Bendo, as you control the floor, if you want to proceed with the vote, you can do so. If you'd like to withdraw that, you can do that as well.
And who seconded it?
Councilwoman
Councilwoman Treston. So, okay.
Yep.
At this point, why don't we just finish the vote?
Okay. We're up to Councilmember Treston.
I did I looked into this and I'm going to vote yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay. Item passes.
Okay. Good luck. Welcome to Long Beach, and
you.
we'll see you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, our third public hearing is for a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 935 West Beach Street for a psychic and mediation crystals and candle store. Now, if the owner of that business, yep, there you are. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hello. So, why don't you tell us a little bit? Now, this is going in what used to be Rockin' Robins, so it's going to be
Yes.
similar. So, why don't you
Yes.
tell us about what you're going to be doing?
All right, so yes, it is. It's definitely going to be similar to Rockin' Robins. I'm going to be selling a variety of candles and crystals, tools for meditation, guidance. I'm also going to be doing some psychic readings and tarot card readings also.
Okay. I get. How many employees do you anticipate it just be you, or?
It'll just be me.
Okay. And what do you think your hours will be?
My hours are going to be from 9 until 9.
Oh, long day. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I guess I'll ask you to stay in the question, but deliveries, do you anticipate getting deliveries?
No,
And if so,
there'll be no deliveries.
okay. All right. Do I have any questions from the council members? Liz?
Hi. I
Hi.
just have one question. And the bottom of your comments, it says that you have another business here in Long Beach?
Yes, I have an existing business already. I'm actually the psychic that is on 62 West Park Avenue.
Is that the one that's upstairs?
Yes, it is on top of LB Social.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the council members? All right. Hearing none. Dave, do we have any from the public? You're muted, Dave.
Oh, sorry, none at this time.
Okay, let's close the hearing and let's move on to the vote.
Okay, so going on the regular calendar, this is item number 4, resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for 935 West Beach Street, street floor for a psychic and meditation crystals and candle store. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes, and good luck and
Thank you so much.
welcome to the West End.
Yes, looking forward to it.
All right.
Okay, our next public, we're gonna jump
Jump to
we're gonna call the public hearings out of order, folks. So we're gonna jump to the next public hearing we're gonna call is the ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding licenses and business regulations, building code, electrical code, and plumbing code.
All right. So is someone on the staff speaking on that, Donna? You're muted.
Sorry, Scott Kimmons is on.
Okay.
Okay, Scott.
Well, if he's talking, we're not hearing him.
Scott, are you on the phone connection? Scott, go ahead and unmute.
You got me now, Dave?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I can speak to the permit fees, and I think Dave is going to speak to the licensing fees because that's under the clerk. Back last summer, the city manager had asked us to research our fees and compare them to other neighboring communities. Mindy Abrams set out and made a very nice spreadsheet. She contacted all the municipalities in the area and found out that a lot of our fees, our building permit fees, our plumbing fees, our certificate of occupancy fees were much lower than our neighboring communities, which, I mean, obviously we knew that. A lot of our fees haven't been raised in 20 years, some of them 11 years. It's been a long time coming. Plumbers come into our office and say, "You guys are the cheapest around. We love doing work in Long Beach." And, you know, the research was done and we were pretty much the lowest. And after meeting with Mindy, we made some recommendations to raise some of our fees, not going as high as some other municipalities, trying to keep it fair for the residents, but at the same time, keeping it fair for the city. And that was what was presented to the city manager and the council that is in the agenda tonight.
Okay. You gonna add anything, Dave?
Well, my portion of it is the mercantile fees, which covers pretty much anybody who does business in the city of Long Beach with a few exceptions. But, you know, it's not only all the storefronts, but also a good lion's share of it is our contractors, the home improvement contractors, the electricians, plumbers, you know, HVAC contractors. We haven't raised any of these. We kind of did it in two halves the last time. Last time we raised these was in 2016. We raised, I believe, some of the contractors, and before that, I believe it was 2014. We had raised some of the business licenses. So we're about due.
Okay. Any questions from any of the council members?
I just have a general comment to Mr. Kemmons and Mr. Frazier and Mindy and everybody else that worked on this. What was presented was very thorough. And I just want to thank them for that. I'm glad that they spoke about the length of time, how long it's been since we did raise. So it's just a general thank you for the effort.
Yeah, Mindy did a great job and showed us how much lower we were than everyone municipalities around us. And in some cases, some of these hadn't been raised since the very early 1990s. So yeah, it's time. Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, Dave, any from the public?
Not at this time.
All right, so let's close that hearing.
Okay. Our next public hearing is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. Now, I believe we have a motion on this item.
Yeah, I'm going to motion to amend the item with the new one that has been posted on the city's website. It was posted on Friday, I believe.
Yes.
So it's been up there for a while. So I'm going to make a motion to replace the resolution with the new one posted on the website.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Delory.
Just want to ask, the one that's posted on the website, it's lowering the cost of the family plan and other plans, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got the right. So yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And folks, it has been posted on the website. If you go on to the council meetings page, there's a link there under the meeting information page and also under the agenda page. You'll see the amendment file listed right there.
Right. And just to give you some background on why this is like this, as you may know, there's been a big push. The original fees that were being proposed based on 50% beach capacity, which meant basically the residents of Long Beach, because there's a good chance we might have had to do residents only, we're going to have to pick up the burden of the costs of the entire beach for the summer, when often much of the revenue comes from non-residents. As some of you may know, the last week and a half, there's been a big push to increase the beach capacity. I've done 2 press conferences in the last week with the county executive calling on the state to open us at 100%. Done a lot of, same with Senator Kaminsky and others. We've been working with them. We've been beating up on the state. So we think we're going to be able to go above 50%. The other thing is now that we also have the electronic beach passes, that will allow us to spread the crowd out a little better. So anybody that travels up and down the beach may know the West End beaches on the weekends are packed. The East End beaches are packed, but often the beaches in the center of town have plenty of room for people to come on. With the electronic beach passes, we will now be able to sell passes onto specific beaches on the weekend. So we felt that the 50% was being overly conservative, and we were going to be, quite frankly, banging our residents on beach fees that we felt we were going to be able to bring non-residents onto the beach. Even under the current conditions, we'd be able to bring non-residents onto the beach, and since they would be picking up some of the costs, we could lower it on the residents. So that's kind of an explanation of why this is being replaced with the fees you see now, which are lower than what were originally proposed. So with that, are there any questions from the council members or comments? Seeing none. Dave, from the public.
Yes, we have Kathleen O'Leary.
Okay. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I haven't looked at the new fees, but I've had this thought for quite a long time. Cedar Beach charges non-residents $20 to park, and they've been doing that for at least 15 years. And Gilgo Beach charges $20 to park for non-residents. So, you know, I really feel that since there is a deficit from the fact we had nobody on the beach, or, you know, fewer people on the beach last year, I think it would be a good place to raise fees. And we're kind of underselling ourselves. We're not a state park. We're just a private beach, and all these other private beaches are charging at least $5 more per person than we are.
Well, most of the other beaches charge for the carload,
Right.
typically, where we charge by the individual if you buy a day pass, or obviously if you buy a seasonal pass, then it just covers you for the whole season. So we kind of have different pricing structures. As you well know, we don't have parking lots per se where we're charging people to park so we can control capacity that way. You know, we have to control it at the beach entrances. So, so we have a little bit of different structure. I mean, it's worth noting that non-residents pay basically double what residents pay for everything except a daily pass. Daily pass is $15 for non-residents, $12 for residents. But most residents, very few residents buy daily passes. You know, everybody buys a seasonal.
Yeah. Am I still on?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you know, I know you were discussing beach parking on private property earlier. I live in the East End. A few years ago, there were people out with signs, you know, asking to park people's cars for $10. That's how bad the parking gets. So isn't there a way to monetize the parking that's being given away for free?
Well, street parking is a different story. That's a whole separate topic that would come into the parking meter issue, which is a separate issue, which we'll talk about at a different time. There is talk of, there's been some talk of using the parking garage at the Long Island Railroad as a pay garage. And then, you know, people would either, you know, easily walk down to the beach, or we could run a shuttle. That's something that's been in discussion. But other than that, you know, there are no other parking lots the city controls. I mean, the Alperts have graciously offered to let us use the foundation block, but they will not allow it to be a paid lot. They require it to be free.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Dave, who's next?
Okay, next is Mary Volasevich.
All right.
Mary, go ahead, unmute.
Okay, I have a question concerning the beach passes, which I brought up several years ago. And I was told that people that are on social services, one way or the other, that the families, if they showed proof that they could get beach passes, no charge. I agree with that 100% because some of them go on with young children after the attendants leave, and that's where we have our lifeguards jumping in after hours. So I wondered, is that still the policy of the city?
I'm not sure who can, who's Donna? You know who can answer that?
Yeah, Mary, thank you for the question. It's a very good question. We did talk last time about looking at the residents that get like free lunches and working that through. So that will come at a later date, but yes, we are looking into that. We have to do some research with the schools and get that moving forward. And
excuse me, Donna, would your housing authority know, like specific area, let's say Channel Park, they know who's getting assistance. So I
we can
believe
reach out to Channel Park as well, but if they have children too, that we reach out to the schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But thank
I
you.
just think, I think if you do that, Donna, it prevents, God forbid, some young kid going down and drowning.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you. I'm
for
glad you're looking at that.
Yes.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Mary.
you.
All right, Dave, who's next?
Roy Lester.
Okay.
Hey, John.
Hey.
When Ina gave her report a couple of weeks ago, she went through the numbers, but she had the projected numbers that are less now because of the changes. Do you remember?
No, her original projection was based on 50% capacity.
No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah, it was.
50%. No, we couldn't. Her original projection was 4.2 million or 4.4 million. That
Well,
could never
she's
be
on.
done.
She's on. I'll let her answer.
All right.
Good evening. How are you, Roy?
Okay, Ina.
Yeah. It was based on the original one when we talked about this multiple times, right? The most recent one was based on 100% capacity for the residents and on 50% capacity for the non-residents. Does that answer your question?
No, that's what I thought. It was 100%. And at that
point, for the residents, you're absolutely right. For the residents, 100%, because residents were not precluded from attending the beach last summer. But for non-residents, we assumed 50%.
Well, you had as total non-residents a receipt of 1.909. Now you're saying that will double? That's on 420, when you put the charts up. I have the chart in front of me. You said for residents, you projected 1.909, 1.9 million. And for total residents, you projected 2.39 million. Are you telling me now that the residents was only at 50%?
The chart that you're looking at now is the chart that supports this new price structure, and that's at 75%.
Only 75, the total non-residents.
So like I said, we talked about this multiple times. The
No, Ina,
regional-
Ina,
Let
just
me
the
finish,
chart.
Roy, let me
Okay,
finish. I'm
all right.
answering the question. Let me finish.
Okay,
The regional resolution listed as number 6 on the agenda assumes 50% capacity. This amended one assumes 75% capacity, and the 75% capacity, the number is 1.9.
so if they
No.
give us 100% capacity, then we're talking about 25% more on that 1.9, which is $500,000 extra. So
Your
that would
math
give us-
is about right, yes.
So that would give us 4.8 million for the beach. But we've only, in the budget, we're only talking about the budget, you're only assuming 75%?
Roy, I think that we're jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves with that. We're gonna
I'm
be
just
talking
trying to
about the
understand.
budget
Yeah, okay.
later.
So what you, Roy, your question is, right now, we are not at 100% capacity.
No,
We are
no.
presenting a budget, so it was at 75% capacity.
The
What we're-
projection on the
Right,
budget.
Right, our projection is at 75%.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
If-
Okay,
If it goes to 100% after the budget has passed, we can do an amendment, but it's at 75%.
okay, so the 1.9 was 75, but the 2.39 was at 100%, correct?
If it's the residents, what she was saying was, we've
Yes.
always said the 100% was residents. It's
Okay.
the non-residents that we're concerned about.
Okay, all right. I was just asking because of the chart that you put out on the 20th had us losing, I think it was 1.1 million on the beach.
Yes,
Yeah, so as it stands right now, the projection on the budget is 4.2 million
correct.
income on the beach. So
Correct.
if at 100%, we'll probably be at 4.7 million.
That is what we hope.
Okay, all right,
But
thank you.
that is all we can do right now is hope.
No, no, I'm
Thank you, Roy.
not saying that. I'm just trying to understand the numbers. That's all.
Okay, all
All
right,
right,
thank
thank you.
you. Thank
I
you.
have,
Thank
I
you.
wanted to make this point anyway, which is, Roy, you've been focusing on the non-residents at the change from 50% to 75% based on the information that we've gotten from the state, which is a very fair and responsible and conservative assumption. However, on the resident side, in 2020, the residents passes sales went up to 33,809 passes. So that means every single man, woman, and child and new baby had a family resident pass in 2020. This was also an 8,000 real number increase versus 2019. So while we balance the 75% for the non-residents, our projection for the residents is slightly aggressive because it will go down because of the electronic beach passes and so on this year. So Ina has done an amazing job in providing scenario after scenario to evaluate this situation. None of us have a crystal ball, but our responsibilities and through this process has been to evaluate the beach park as a separate P&L where revenues should be more than expenses, but unfortunately they're not still, but we're getting there. And I think she's done a tremendous job. And I feel confident that we're all fulfilling our fiduciary responsibility to move us in the right direction to get this beach park operation net positive.
Yeah, that's true, Karen. I'm just
Thank
trying
you.
to figure out what the numbers are based on. That was all my question was. I'm not saying she's not doing a tremendous job. I just was asking what they were based on. Thank you.
This is tough stuff. I'm happy to talk with you about it. It's but we're getting there. And again, we don't have a crystal ball. So this process should
No
be
one
done
does.
This process should be done every year. And I really am excited that the council now has the opportunity to and responsibility to make sure that we, again, operate in net positive for the beach.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Roy.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, anyone else?
Yes, next is William Depper.
Okay.
Yeah, I live across from the empty lot that down by Laurelton. And I'm just concerned that all those cars there and the heavy traffic. I have many friends that live at the old Hoffman Manor, which is the assisted living facility. And a lot of them use rollators, have difficulty walking. They cross the street because they are allowed out. A lot of them smoke. They do go up on the ramp on the boardwalk. And a lot of kids are around here too. A lot of children. There's a bus stop here. So I don't know. I hope you'll take it more into consideration, but also what's it going to be like at night around here with cars parking there? Is it going to become like a lover's lane, especially with the tipsy ice cream? So, I'm thinking of everything, and I live right across from it. So, I mean, if I see something, I am going to report it and probably call the police department. But I mean, before it, escalates and becomes a problem, maybe look at all things first.
Mr. Dopper, the parking lots will be monitored on a regular basis, and then they will be closed at night. And so we are aware of the different things that can go on. One of our major concerns is parking. And so one of the agreements with the Alperts is that we would monitor those lots on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. I figured you would. I think you guys are doing, you ladies and gentlemen are doing like so much to better Long Beach, get the figures back, and hopefully bring Long Beach back on top.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We
on the
appreciate
plus
that.
side, rather.
Thank you. All right, Dave. Anyone else?
No, that's it. Ms. O'Leary, you have spoken already. You can't speak twice. Sorry.
On a different issue, I can't speak?
This is the same. No, we're still on the same issue. You already spoke on this item.
I did?
Yes, you did. You were the first speaker on this item.
All right, I forgot. It's been so long. Sorry.
Okay. She's ambitious. Okay, so there was no one else, Dave?
Nope, that was it.
All right, so let's close that hearing.
Okay, our last hearing is for the purpose of giving citizens an adequate opportunity to publicly present their views on the general summary of the proposed budget for the year July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022.
Okay, are we going to hear from Ina again?
If you want to.
Everybody
Dave.
wants to.
Dave, is there a way to put my PowerPoint on your screen?
One moment.
Thank you. While Dave is doing that, I just wanted to start with saying that the budget is posted on city's website, and tonight we're going to be discussing it, but I will also want to encourage people who have concerns and maybe shy to ask questions tonight, or something would occur to them at a later date. You can reach out to my office and with your questions, and we are cataloging them and posting them also online. So hopefully after I'm done with this, there will be no more questions. Dave, go to the next page, please. Okay, so this page summarizes budget by fund. It has 3 years of budgets and shows fiscal year 20, fiscal year 2021 adopted budgets, as well as fiscal year 2022 proposed budget. It's comparing all these years is a bit like apples to oranges, because 2019-20 the budget was prepared without the world knowing of COVID. The 2021 adopted budget was already prepared with COVID in our minds and with understanding that a lot of operations of the city will be reduced. And then 2022 budget now is prepared with the more ambitious plans and more hopes towards reopening. You could see here all these years for operating funds as well as for internal service funds. I will address each of one of those on the following slides. Could you please turn the page? Okay, so general fund expenses in general fund when compared to fiscal 2021 adopted budget are over $10 million higher. That's huge, right? So why $10.4 million? I listed here major categories that add up to approximately $10 million, of which the most material one is repayment of the $4.25 million principal plus another $64,000 of interest on the deficiency note. That note was issued in May of 2020. It was issued to mitigate COVID-related revenue shortfalls. That note cannot be converted into long-term debt. It has to be paid back to the note holders no later than the end of the second fiscal year after the year it was borrowed in. So for us, it has to be repaid before June 30th, 2022. The full repayment is budgeted in this budget. Another pretty material item here is Social Security. It's $2 million. The budget for FICA payments in the general fund are about $2 million over what was budgeted in 2021 budget. City took advantage of the CARES Act. CARES Act allowed employers to defer their FICA payments, employer portion of FICA payments through December 31st of 2020. Everything that was deferred now has to be paid out in 2 installments, equal installments, 50% by the end of calendar 2021. So it's our fiscal 2022, and another half in the next fiscal year. So that adds up to $2 million variance because 2021 was lower and 2022 now is higher. Contingency increased by $760,000. $500,000 of that is due to increase in termination salaries. I have a slide that will cover that. And another $260,000 is what we're budgeting for the increase in the part-time salaries. We have a tremendous part-time workforce that is currently paid less than minimum wage, and we're striving to bring their wages up to the federal state minimum wage standards. So this amount is budgeted as one lump sum in contingency, and once this budget is approved, we will work with the departmental managers for those departments that have part-time employees that are paid under minimum wage salaries. We will work with them, and we will process those increases, and we'll be transferring appropriate amounts of money into those departments. You will see resolutions for the transfers at your city council meetings in the future. Okay, increase in retirement costs for the New York State Retirement Plan, the increase is $400,000, and for the police, it's it's a separate plan for the police and fire. The increase is $650,000. This is based purely on the invoices that I received from the state pension plans. They send us estimates, and these estimates are actuarially determined by whoever actuaries are working for them. Dave, if you don't mind, please move to the next page. Okay. I also worked with our attorneys who are responsible for procurement of the various insurance policies for those risks where the city is insured. That was quantified, and the total is $1,274,000. So basically $274,000 more than what was budgeted last year. So basically 2021 was under budgeted because also we worked with the brokers, but they were too optimistic. So the actual expense for 2021 is somewhere around $1,150,000. Okay. There is an overall increase in the recreation department expense, $451,000, and that is due to the fact that our budget for 2021 in that department was much lower than in prior years. So this is basically bringing it back to historical actual in recognition of our optimistic hopes for COVID to be over. Another point is additional budgeted vacancies for new hires, about $680,000. It's IT director, it's contract management and procurement director, deputy city manager, and HR director. Those vacancies are budgeted for in a 2022 budget, and those were discussed with the city manager, and some of them are clear. We know about the IT issues, and currently IT is run by one person at the city, which is not acceptable for any entity with $100 million of revenues. So there are also additional less material increases in expenses that are partially mitigated by decreases in other categories. But what I just listed on those two slides, those are the most material ones, and those that they add to about $10 million. Next slide. I'm not sure how well you could see that slide, but it's also posted on the city website. It shows how I come up with the amount that we need to budget for the termination salaries. So what's budgeted for the termination salaries has two parts to it. One part is we already know there is a list of about, I don't know, it's 18 maybe, former employees who had retired, and they are receiving their payouts in installments, right? Some of them are in 3 equal installments, some are bi-weekly until the whole liability is paid out. So I don't know, again, if you can see it well, but maybe you can trust me. The total overall amount for all those people, you could see like there is no more probably than 20 here, was about $10 million. And of that $10 million, about $2.3 million will be paid out in 2022. Some of it was paid out in previous years. Some of it will still be paying into the future years past this next year budget. Then the next three columns, they show which funds will be responsible for paying that out. In addition to that, so that's one part of the termination salaries. In addition to that, I worked with the union leaders and trying to assess their knowledge of the retirement expectations they have from their members, and that was added to this schedule as well. Usually, as a rule of thumb, whatever is budgeted for termination salaries is not enough for the payout. But that's here it's a little bit over $3 million, $3,018,000 for the general fund, and that is a $500,000 increase from what was budgeted in fiscal 2021. By the way, using the same methodology.
Ina, I just want to make one comment so that everyone that cannot see it, please know that this schedule is, as Ina said before, is on the website. So you can go and look and ask any questions that you may have to Ina's office, or you can send the questions to city managers and we will get those answers for you, and also post the answers, the question and the answer on the website. Thank you, Ina.
Sure. Dave, do you mind moving it to the next slide? So this slide is a chart. It shows how your tax dollars are spent. You could see the major categories. The most expensive, the most costly operation for the city is the public safety, which includes police and fire departments. And then that follows by the recreation and by total economic opportunity development and transportation at 3%. Categories like home and community service is 10%, and that includes sanitation, street maintenance, things like that. You could see that the total employee benefits, city spends 25% of its total budget on employee benefits. So that's a very large sum, and that shows that providing benefits and giving all this fringes is very expensive. Pension plans, as you saw on previous slides, just pension plan costs went up between 2 pension plans by $1 million. And medical premiums go up every year. So that's 25% of our budget. Another very high category this year especially is the interfund transfers. What interfund transfers mostly mean, it's the transfer from the general fund and other funds as well, water and sewer, from operating funds to the debt service fund and risk management fund for the mostly for the debt service. This year it's higher than it's in previous years because of that $4,250,000 payout that will be funded from the general fund. Dave, do you mind moving it to the next slide? Okay, so let's talk about revenues right now. Revenue projections were based on prior years, historical actual amounts as adjusted by relevant assumptions. So we looked at the prior year actual revenues collected, and we took into consideration where the city is right now, where the world is right now, and adjusted those accordingly. We don't want to be too optimistic because that will result in city running out of cash at some point during the year. At the same time, we don't want to be very conservative because we are very cognizant of how much we're asking city residents to pay to the city in taxes. Okay, I will go now through the revenue increases, just like I went through them. Expense increases, also area by area. Beach Park, we anticipate $610,000 more in this budget than we did in 2021. This might further increase if we get better information on 100% beach capacity. In that case, if that will be determined that we'll be able to open our beaches at 100%, that will create an opportunity for us to not increase property taxes by the percentages that you see in this budget. We'll adjust that to reflect that beach revenues will be collected at higher amounts. So that will probably bring the increases under 6%. In property taxes, increases will be somewhere between 5.5% to 6%. New York sales and use tax projected increase of $300,000. Nassau County sales tax projected increase is $226,000. State aid mortgage tax projected increase is $249,000. Transportation related grants projected increase of $800,000. Federal Transportation Department has their own COVID related programs and acts, and a large portion of that is what we anticipate as the result of that of those grants. City operates Point Lookout bus loop, and we are projecting to get $175,000 more this year. It's just to collect what's in arrears. We're working with the county to get the previous couple of years that haven't been paid, to have them paid. Dave, do you mind? Okay, continued revenues. Bond anticipation notes will be issued to cover termination pay, just like termination pay had increased by $500,000. What we're gonna borrow to pay for the termination pay will also increase, and that is including we can borrow for the fringe benefits and that as well. So that's $500,000 to $530,000. Fund balance appropriations, we are planning to have at the end of fiscal year 2021, we will be reached. We'll receive $3.7 million from the federal government in the stimulus. And we were able actually through COVID and all to build a little bit of the fund balance. So as sad as it will be, we'll have to use $1 million of that. And that will be 4.671 million. The remaining budgetary gap will have to be addressed via increase in property taxes. So current proposed budget assumes total levy of 50.5 million compared to 46.6 million for fiscal 2021. Again, that number might be hopefully adjusted based on what we will hear about the beach capacities. I am done with the with the general fund. Dave, do you mind to move to the water fund?
Before you move on, one of the things I want to make sure that everybody is aware is that we are borrowing, but we're not borrowing for just general expenses. We're only borrowing money for termination pay. And that's very important. So when we say we don't want to borrow, we have to borrow for termination pay, not for general expenses.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And for those who were able to see that termination pay slide, the levels at which we face termination payouts when we have 20 people receiving over $10 million, that's hard for the city to absorb. So, Dave, do you mind moving to the water fund? Okay. So water fund revenue and expenses are up $236,000. Water billings will be up about $230,000. That assumes 4% increase in water rates. So why increase in water rates and why increase in expenses? They're employees of Department of Public Works that were historically all charged to the general fund, but they actually split their time, about 40% in general fund and 30% in water and 30% in sewer fund. It really aligns the expenses and how city residents are paying taxes and fees to the actual expenses of the city, and in which funds and which department city actually incurs them. So it will move those salary budgets, those 30% of the salaries to water and sewer funds. What I also want to mention now, I didn't mention it when we talked about the general fund. We very carefully reviewed all the chargebacks, and we looked at all the grants available. So this year budget is prepared with anticipation of those employees whose salaries will be covered by the grants. They're not budgeted in the general fund, so that alleviates that that additional burden. And we did it only for those grants where we have assurances that there will be collections. So the next page, Dave. Sewer fund, basically same story, increase of 297,000. There's no increases for the sewer rates, and the percentage that the sewer rates are collected as a percentage of the water rates, but because they are their percentage 130% of the water rates, so a 4% increase in water rates will cause the corresponding increase in the sewer rates as well. And again, this is their personnel costs and associated associated fringe benefits that are affiliated with these increases, as well as other small immaterial items of increases in the water and sewer fund. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. I guess I just want to confirm one thing, because you showed that one slide that had some very large payouts. We now, before those payouts are made, unlike the previous, they're now checked by independently, correct, to make sure that they now comply with the code?
Yeah, so actually on a going forward basis, I anticipate this situation improve because in a arbitration, in the interest arbitration, now the payouts to our PBA members are all capped at $275,000. So what we see here is what for the retirees that retired before that took place, and we in certain cases we do send it to the independent forensic auditors. Then not all separation payments, some are lower, and not all of them warrant this. So you probably don't see some that were $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and were paid out with in one lump sum. But those larger ones, we get somebody else besides us. We do the due diligence check in my office, but we also send it for additional reviews.
Okay.
And we're obligated to pay those, obligated by a contract, right?
We are obligated to pay because this is a part of our collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was a lot to ingest. So Dave, why don't we open it up to comments from the public?
Okay, first is Kate Tormey.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a second to say, Ina, that was really beautifully presented and very transparent. And I understood it and it was wonderful. And I want to give you a lot of credit. You have a lot of value just putting that together and making it understandable to the public. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. All right. Anyone else, Dave?
Yep. Next is Roy Lester.
Okay.
Go ahead, Roy.
Hi, John. John, it's a 180-page document, and I think asking people to ask questions about it in 3 minutes is a little unrealistic. But I have a bunch of questions prepared, and I'll do what I can. First of all, where would I find what Ina was just talking about, the charts?
Are you talking about the payout charts?
All the charts she just had. They're somewhere
I think
online.
he means the PowerPoint
Yeah,
presentation.
the PowerPoint presentation will be posted on the website.
Oh, okay.
And Roy, you just said, one of the things you just mentioned was that how large the budget book was, but the budget itself is not that many pages. What we did to be more transparent this time out is that what we showed is what each department does. We showed trends within the city. We also put in the back a glossary, so anybody reading the budget and had questions about the terms, they could see that. We also put in where we use acronyms, they can understand what the acronyms are. So the budget itself that we're talking about tonight is not 180 pages.
And can I add something to you, Donna? So Roy, I don't want you to rush through all your questions. I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation that you should please feel free to send questions to Donna's office or mine. We will post them, catalog and post them and answer them. And we will give you credit as a person who asked them on that website. So we'll be completely transparent and nothing will be lost. You can go through wherever we can go right now in 3 minutes, and the rest will be addressed properly as well. Please rest assured.
Okay, started my watch. Okay, Donna, first of all, I will say it's the most transparent budget I've seen. But the more transparent it is, the more questions I have, because now I can get into the nitty gritty. So, I guess there's a cost that comes with everything. The first question, and I will ask all my questions, try to get rid of them. There was money left over that we were owed for Sandy. We had spoken about it before. It was about $3 million, and you had talked about it at one point, using it to pay off the $4.2 million. Did we ever collect that? Basically what happened? Then the $3.67 million we're getting from the federal stimulus package, I didn't see that anywhere in the budget. Is it in the budget yet? And okay, and we're taking $4.67 million out of our fund balance. Is that going to deplete the fund balance completely? And on that particular note, we only owe $4.3 million. Where's the other $300,000 going? under the bus fees, we collected 125,000 less than last year's budgeted amount and 164,000 less than the actual collection for 2018. We are anticipating collecting 125,000 less. What are those numbers based on? Because I couldn't figure out what. Okay, when we're talking about the ice arena, we're anticipating an income of 608,000, but we were going to do an RFP on the ice arena because right now we're talking about almost losing money. And you've reduced the amount we're going to spend on gas and electric by 65,000. And the building and equipment repairs for the entire building and all the equipment only comes out to 7,000 a year, which is about 500 a month. I don't see how we can ever do that. So it seems to me that the ice arena will continue to lose money, and I'm just wondering what happened to the IFP. As of March 31st, we had only received 516,000 of the 3,152,000 that was anticipated for the state aid per capita. I'm wondering what's happening with that. And then it's under, let me see, we only received 700,000 in state aid for bus operations. And in 2018, we received 900,000. And last year we were scheduled for 858,000. So I'm wondering why we're losing, we've lost like a couple of 100,000 on that.
Roy, that's your time.
Okay. That's what I see. I mean, there's just too much on this budget to try to do it in 3 minutes, but I figured you'd stop me.
Did you write all your questions down?
Oh, yeah, I have 4
Can
pages.
you send them to us? Because you were reading those questions kind of fast.
3 minutes, Donna, not a lot of time.
I understand. So can you email those questions? One question I can answer for you right now is about the ice arena RFP. The goal of the RFP was to have an establishment come in and take over the ice arena and its operations. The ice arena RFPs that we received, they wanted to take it over, but they also wanted us to pay them a fee every month for taking it over. And that was not the intent. And so we're going to go back to the drawing board so that just as the tennis courts, they were taken over, they run the operation and they pay the city, not that the city pays them to take it over. But your other questions you read so fast, could you send those to us?
Mr. Lester?
He muted himself.
Yes.
Can you send those questions into the city manager, Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was able to write some of them down, probably a few of them I can answer, but then there were a lot that was really asked so fast that I did not even manage to write it down. I think Roy asked about $3.67 million of the stimulus, and he asked why it's not in the budget. It's not in the budget because we anticipate receiving it in this fiscal year 2021. This will fall into the fund balance this year. We don't think we're going to use it this year in operations. So the number that you see, $4.67 million, is inclusive of 3.67. I'm not sure, Roy, you can look at it like the budget, you have to look holistically, right? So just because we're only paying down the bonds of 4.3, the deficiency note of $4.3 million, you're asking where the rest is going to. Well, it's in the budget. We had other increases in expenses, and there are 2 pages in this document that I presented today. That's should explain that. You asked about the state aid and why we only received $500,000, a little bit over it to date. So the state usually pays it in 2 installments. We receive majority of it towards the end of May, beginning of June. That's why you don't see it yet, because we didn't get it yet, and we're not scheduled to get it yet. And frankly, don't think that I can give you good answers to the other questions because you went through them so quickly and they were so loaded that it'd be much it will be much more meaningful for you to email them to us, and we'll post your questions and answers on our website.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
John, you're muted.
Sorry, so there'll be another hearing too. So Roy will have another opportunity as well. But I saw Eileen pop up, so I'm going to assume Eileen's next.
Eileen,
Can you
Hessian
hear
is
me?
next.
Yes, we do, Eileen.
Go ahead,
Very
Eileen.
good, thank you. I have two comments, but one of them is about salaries. Will I have another opportunity to speak after I do this question?
3 minutes.
All right, let me ask this one. In the charts that Ina had, I know that you are capping retirement pay in the future, but in the big numbers on that list, $300,000, $400,000 payouts, have you looked at those to make sure that no one is getting 100% of their sick days, vacation days, et cetera?
Yes, they have an outside group looking at that.
That's for the future. I'm talking about the big numbers now for this year.
I'm waiting for you to finish your question.
Okay.
And then,
all right, my next
I'll answer.
question is, for the police, you mentioned there was an increase of $650,000 in this budget. I think we only have about 65 police officers, so that's $10,000 per person, and that's just the increase. Now, I understand that this is contractual, but it is getting just beyond affordable for any of us to give this kind of big payout. So that's just a comment. I don't know if you can respond to that, but okay.
I will try.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I guess finally on yours, Ina, the 25% employee benefits, is that comparable to other cities or towns that have their own police and fire departments or whatever it is that we have, 25%?
Absolutely. Yeah. Public employees that are part of the New York State retirement system and part of the New York State health benefit system.
Okay.
It's very compatible. I will try to answer your question on the termination pay schedule where you see large amounts. So some of these amounts are still subject to review, and I'm not going to go into details on those. But when you see $400,000, $600,000, $500,000, those are shocking to us as much as they are to you. So we're still doing our due diligence, and that's the amount at what they're recorded at right now. So to address your $650,000 increase question, so that's the increase in what we're required to pay for the police pension plans. That's not just for the active employees, that's also paying into the plan that pays to the retirees, right? I don't have those invoices in front of me, but that's actually in the budget, and the actual contribution for that plan, I believe, is over $4 million. So
okay. I think maybe we need to get some better negotiating in the next contract. It is just, we can't live this way. It's just too much money. My other question before my minutes are up was about salaries, but are you going to come back to that later and I'll come back? Are you going to talk about salaries?
No, we weren't going to talk about salaries this evening.
Okay, I'm just going to say this quickly then. By looking at the salaries, I see several 9% increases. And I'll tell you where I see what department: city manager, deputy city manager, executive assistant city manager, comptroller, deputy comptroller, corporation counsel, and deputy counsel. Now, I know some of those positions are new. I'm not sure why, and some have been eliminated. But For example, the city manager and the corporation counsel and the comptroller salaries are going up by 9%. The average in the workplace is 2 or 3%. So I don't know, since we are so broke, why we're giving away that amount of money. And in those 6 or 7 positions that I mentioned, we're going from $620,000 to $955,000. That's a 50% increase. That's how,
Okay,
how,
first of
why?
all, Eileen, my salary is not increased. I believe my salary shows 100.
For next year.
No, I make 190 right now. So, and that was done during last year. So that salary is not being increased. The comptroller's salary did increase because she took on more responsibility. All of the financial departments that is under the that is in the city now reports to the comptroller, which they should have done at all times. The corporation counsel, that's an estimate in the budget. The deputy city manager, that's an estimate. And what was the other one?
Comptroller, corporation counsel, the deputies, and the executive assistant, I understand is, now 0. But Donna, actually, I took those numbers directly from the budget where it said 178 to 190. So
yeah, but that's what I make now.
Yeah, all right. So I'm just saying I took them from the budget, so maybe
yeah.
those numbers should be looked at.
Yeah,
But the
so
bottom line of 600 to 900, that's a pretty big increase.
Well, first of all, I understand what you're saying. One of the things about the budget, the way it was adopted, it shows you what it was adopted, and maybe it, like for my salary, that is not an increase for me at all. There is no increase in there for me. We also are increasing part-time salaries because people have been making well under minimum wage. And so where we're bringing in professionals to do professional jobs, we do pay them accordingly. Some of the positions we're looking at, we're looking for a higher quality individual. And so, example, the comptroller she had one salary and she had one department under her, and now all of the financial departments are under her. She has a lot more responsibility. And like I said, the corporation counsel, that's an estimate. And where the positions are vacant, we're looking at just what the market rate goes for to get the talent that we're looking for.
All right. And Donna, I would say that I am happy with this budget in the sense that it is the most transparent that we've ever seen. I understand that these big numbers don't have too much to do with the present administration and certainly nothing to do with you. It's the past, and finally, maybe we'll be able to get a handle on some of it.
Eileen, that's your time.
Well, Eileen, what I will say is that is our goal. That's why we're trying to be very transparent. I've always said from the day I got here, I was going to be transparent and to show where everything is. And believe me, as Ina and I sit down and talk 2 or 3 times a day about the budget and actual numbers, we are trying to keep everything in line. So we are looking out for the residents.
Good.
And thank you again for your compliment.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Thank you, Eileen. Who's next, Dave?
William Notholt.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say, as a former department head for the city of Long Beach, I was always impressed when the city controller was able to put together a budget of this size and knew everything about each line item. A job well done by the current city controller on this year's budget. However, recently, the city council voted on hiring 2 bankruptcy consultant firms at a cost of about $1.5 million. The city council talks about the possibility of bankruptcy. The city manager has submitted a proposed budget which includes a 6.3% tax increase, which she says is in part due to pension costs, contractual raises, and increases in part-time salaries. A proposed budget includes adding several high-salary exempt employees at a cost of about $680,000 plus benefits. It also includes substantial raises for certain, but not all, exempt employees at a cost of about $100,000. Today, I'm told that the city manager plans on giving grade changes after July 1st, which I do not see listed in the proposed budget. As much as I would like to see CSEA employees getting a well-deserved grade change, it should have been included in this proposed budget so the public can see the additional costs. I would like to see who the employees are that are receiving these grade changes, what the grade changes are, and I'm asking if you are prepared to itemize the grade changes and post them prior to the city council voting on this proposed budget. I thank you all for your time.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
I can,
Oh,
Donna,
go
I
ahead, Dina.
can take over the grade changes question. So I am very sorry, not aware or prepared to talk about some future grade changes that might take place in next fiscal year. What was worked on and what was built into this budget is a great change for exactly one employee in a general fund. And that's very transparent, and that you could see by looking at the staff schedule. So that's one employee with the great change. There were several changes in the water and sewer department funds, great changes. And there, I'm not an expert. I cannot, maybe if Joe Fabrizi is on a call, maybe he can address it better. But you need to have certain, in order to operate those plants, you need to have certain employees in appropriate positions. Otherwise, the state will not qualify our water plant and sewer plant. So those, there were several retirements during the last couple of years, and those great changes in those departments in water and sewer, they are just to align what needs to be done as per the state requirements to whatever staff we have.
Yeah, if you don't mind, yes, as far as the water treatment plant, they're currently operating a 24/7 facility, and they only have 9 personnel. So we did put in the budget 1 additional plant operator. That's in the budget. And as far as the wastewater treatment plant, they're currently utilizing only 8 operators to run 24/7 facility. So we actually requested that 2 plant operators be put in the budget. However, we agreed to just have 1 for now, since the facility is going to be closing in 3 to 4 years. But right now they're running on a skeleton crew, basically, and they're putting in, there's a lot of overtime being incurred. So we did put in 1 employee in the water treatment plant and 1 in the wastewater treatment plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. As far as it relates to $100,000 increase in exempt salaries, I am not aware of it. I thought I knew this budget pretty well, but apparently not. So no, there is no $100,000 increase in exempt salaries. And that's probably what I can readily answer right now. Again, the question was loaded. I don't know if anyone else took notes and wants to address the other parts, but I'd encourage you to email your questions to me, and we'll pose the questions with your name and the answers to your questions as well.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next, Dave?
Next is Kevin Heller.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Mr. Heller.
Good evening. I think what I'm about to say is probably reflected already by Ms. Hessian's comments about the expense. Obviously, increasing over the tax cap limit, 6.3% non-homestead and 12.3%, plus the beach fees are going up, plus the water fees are going up. If I look at the demographic information in your budget, I think it's safe to say that's a real burden for most residents. I think my cursory review of the budget shows that there are several new exempt employee hires and non-contractual pay raises, which to me doesn't seem prudent shortly after we voted to spend $1.5 million on taxpayer money on retainer fees for structuring experts whose recommendations could materially impact the budget. I would ask that the city council vote against this budget and ask for amendments there too. And I would recommend a budget that reflects, then also only implements in practice contractually obligated changes pending the complete review by M3 partners. So that's my comment on the budget. One question I do have, I'm having a little trouble with the math, I have to admit. In terms of the revenue side, the 2021 adopted budget versus the 2022 proposed budget for real property tax revenue. Do you have a general sense of how much of that is reflective of the percentage increase? Or is there anything built in for an increase in the assessed values? You have provided some backward-looking 5-year trend on full valuation, but is any of that reflective of an increase in tax assessment, or is it simply last year's sort of tax roll multiplied by the proposed increase?
Ray Flammer, Ina is on. If we move Ray up. And while he's moving up, Mr. Heller, M3 and O'Melveny has the budget, and they have gone through it as well. And if you could send where you are seeing where individuals are getting large increases and exempt employees, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. It's, you
Yeah.
know, city manager's office goes up by 16%, controller's office goes up by 22%, purchasing goes up by 75%, corporate counsel's office goes up by 15%. And I'm not saying whether or not these are deserved pay raises. I'm just saying, given the situation that we're in, which is a heavy fiscal burden on the residents of Long Beach, perhaps it's best not to implement those until we have this long-term review and
Okay,
see where we come out.
I understand what you're saying, but some of, like, as I stated before, the budgeted amount that was there for a city manager at 178 was what the budget last year. I make 190 right now. So there is no increase. It's just a difference in the budgets. It's not the actual.
Well, there are a number of new hires, and I listed a whole bunch of
Right.
departments that had increases as well. So
Right, we will, I answered those, but we will put all of those in writing. And so that everyone could see the new hires, and the actual new hires would be the deputy city manager, the IT director, and the HR director. That's all the new hires. The corporation counsel is a vacant position right now.
Donna, there is also a procurement and
Oh, yeah,
contract
the procurement
manager.
Contract administrator, which could pay for itself because that is somebody that would be looking at our contracts, making sure we're collecting all our revenue, which is not currently done, and making sure that we extend contracts and we do different procedures on our procurement to start saving the city money. And so what I do want everybody to know that we really scrubbed this budget, and this budget has been looked at by M3 and O'Melveny. Even with the increase in the number of people that we are trying to bring in as additional help, O'Melveny and M3 were aware of that as well. So yeah, we will answer any additional questions about that in writing.
yeah, and I think just a comment, you know, the 25% of our budget going to, you know, fringes and things like that. And I understand it's comparable to New York State, but I would say, you know, all of New York State's kind of in trouble when it comes to the tax burden on residents. So, you know, to the extent that Long Beach has a voice in that, I think we ought to be advocating for long-term changes.
That's
We
your time,
are-
Mr. Heller.
I would agree with you, and we did say that we're going to start looking into that.
Thank you.
I would just conclude by saying that percentage increases in departments is not necessarily reflective of pay increases. It's also reflective of additional or changes in headcount. So it's not a pure relationship that assumes everybody's getting an increase.
Okay, who's next, Dave?
Next is Mary Folasevich.
Ray Flammer is on as well. I don't know if we wanted to let him chime in.
Good evening. The assessed values did go up. All the new construction was added to the roll. We added about a net increase of about $25 million worth of value on the assessment roll this year. And that is included within the tax calculation. Does that answer the question?
Yeah,
This is Councilman Delory. I think that answered Mr. Heller's question on the.
Yeah, I think he just sent a message saying, yes, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ray. All right, welcome back, Mary.
I think that was a mistake, John. I didn't.
What,
have any
welcoming you
questions.
back?
No, well, that too, but no, I must have hit that by mistake. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Mary.
all right, thanks, Mary.
I'm
All right, who's next, Dave? That
Next
looks
is
like
Kathleen
it's
O'Leary.
Kathleen. All right, welcome back, Kathleen.
Thank you. I understand that this budget is necessary, but I think, the city needs to understand 6.3% is coming on the heels of 21% that came before it. The one piece that I'm not sure that I heard it correctly at the last meeting, but I'm going to go over it. Maybe you can tell me if I heard it right. In terms of the beach park lack of money for this past summer, we are raising taxes because of that, but we're owed money from the state or the stimulus for it. I can't see doing that because once the taxes go up, they never come down. So why is that? Is there a way to do it so that it's not included in the tax increase? And with the numbers getting better, and I think it's unpredictable, but things do look like they're heading toward them letting us open it up 100%. Shouldn't that affect the amount of taxes being charged to make up for last year?
I think that I actually mentioned it, and it's in one of the slides. If we are between now and when the budget is presented for the vote, if with the number of the percentage of the capacity and the estimate of what the state will allow us will be increased to 100%, like you said, that will allow us to project higher revenues for the beach park. So that will in turn allow us to decrease the necessity of the tax levy of $50.5 million. So far, my preliminary review of the increase in the capacity, it could generate as much as $600,000 in revenue. So that would be a considerable decrease in the tax levy and the tax rates that the city will propose in its budget. And it's not going to be a situation where it's going to go in a budget and then they will allow us 100% capacity, but your taxes are going to be already set at the higher rate amount. No, this is a very dynamic process. We are in contact with the state authorities, and we both lobbying and gathering information, and we're hoping that this will result in amendment to the proposed budget as it's proposed right now.
Okay. And is there money coming that's going to state or federal money that's going to help us offset the losses at the beach last year?
So we're scheduled to receive about $3.6 million. And that's meant to lessen the burden of what we experience in terms of revenue loss with COVID. However, it doesn't make us whole.
Okay.
So it's obviously not it's a large sum of money, but it does not make us whole.
Okay. Thank you. Great job.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathleen, I also thank you for your comment. I also want to say we are lobbying hard to get additional funding into the city. And we have been talking to the state. Ina and I had an in-depth conversation last week with the state. The state also has come out and reviewed they have our budget now, which they are reviewing. So we have been lobbying hard to get additional funding into the city.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kathleen. All right, Dave, who's next?
William Depper.
Okay.
Yes, I was just wondering, in your proposed budget, do you possibly see any cuts coming in like the HUD program and housing program that you don't have money set aside to possibly help people with housing costs? And also, it was like this time last year that Long Beach terminated a lot of the employees. And do you see it coming this year? Or a lot of people also retiring and more big payouts?
First, I want to say the last year when the people were laid off, the majority of those people that wanted to come back have come back. They were laid off because of COVID. And so an agreement was made with the union is that as people retired or people left, that we would offer them jobs so that they can come back to the city. I don't know if the union president for CSEA is on, but he has actually come on several times and said that most of his people are back. And so we have said that we are not looking to lay off anyone. We are trying to streamline in a sense that we are that the city runs more efficiently.
Okay. And I will try to answer your question about the housing funds. What we're discussing right now are the 3 operating funds of the city. So I guess maybe your question is would be better addressed to the Long Beach Housing Authority, which is a separate entity from the city of Long Beach.
No, I said if you see any foreseeable cuts to that program, is there anything here in Long Beach, the budget, that could possibly compensate that or make up for that loss?
Loss of what?
Like cuts in the housing programs, in the HUD, HUD being cut.
But HUD programs are not running through the city operating funds. They're run through the Long Beach Housing Authority. We are not in receipt of any HUD funds.
Okay, then you're not understanding. I'll address it with the Housing Authority. Thank you.
Sure.
That's it.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Depper.
Mary's hand just didn't go down. She doesn't have a question.
What's that?
Mary's hand is still up, but she doesn't have a question.
Oh.
I keep lowering it and it keeps coming back up.
Okay. All right. Who's next, Dave?
Monique Powell.
Okay.
This might help, William. On our website, there is a program for from the Nassau County Community Development Corp to help those in assistance of at least 4 months of rent in arrears. And the information is made public on the website, is on the community development page, as well as some of our social media outlets.
And just to be clear, Monique is Director of Community Development for the city.
All right. Thanks, Monique.
Thank you, Monique. So that's just to reiterate, those funds, they're not part of the Long Beach operating funds and this budget that we're discussing.
Correct.
Right. All right, Dave, who's next?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So we will leave the hearing open because we will do this again. Before we move on to the regular agenda, you know what? Let's take a 3-minute bio break since we've been on for 2.5 hours. So I got 9:27. Let's reconvene at 9:31. And so everybody can run off to the potty or whatever they might need to do before we get into the next phase.
Just
So-
make sure both cameras and microphones are off, please.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 3 minutes. Yeah. We don't need to hear a lot of flushing. Okay. All right. Everybody's trickling back in. So we just need to confirm we got Karen back. Oh, Mike just ran off the screen. There's Karen. There's Mike reaching down into the fridge. All right, you ready, Mike? Ready to go?
Yeah, I was getting a low battery and I forgot to plug in my laptop. So, yep, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the agenda.
Okay, on to the regular calendar. Item 1 is approval of minutes from prior meeting, March 16th, 2021. Who will make a motion to approve?
I will.
Second?
Cool.
Voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, we've already called items 2, 3, and 4. Item 5 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding licenses, business regulations, building code, electrical code, and plumbing code. Hearing has been held on this item already. Item 6 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. The hearing has been held on this item already. Item 7 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget.
Okay. I'm going to assume that's Ina. You muted, Ina.
Donna, did you want to make a
Unmuted.
comment?
Unmuted.
There you go.
That's Ina, and maybe Ron also can chime in on that. So the city held a bike auction couple of weeks ago, and the collections of this bike auctions are now to be designated towards a certain purpose within the police department budget for fiscal year 2021, this fiscal year. Ron, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just don't have a camera, I guess. So I don't know if Dave's going to turn that on, but I don't need one.
Okay, so maybe if you can elaborate a little bit more on the auction and what was sold and who was facilitating the auction. And
Sure, I'll
what
take care of it.
the money-
So what happened a couple of weeks ago, the police department had a bicycle auction. These are bicycles that are either recovered stolen bicycles that nobody claims, or found bicycles, or just derelict bicycles that are collected over time around the city. Usually once a year, the city will have an auction. This particular year, they hadn't done an auction in well over 2 years. John Bendo, president of the city council, was our auctioneer. I assisted him, as did several other members of the police department. It was an extremely successful auction. A lot of people came out to buy bicycles, a very lively crowd. And I believe, I don't recall the exact dollar amount, it was 7,000 and change.
Yeah, it was $7,826.
Right. So it was a very successful auction that we had. So that money, we are asking in the police department to reallocate it back to the police department, because we don't have enough. There are a lot of uniform items that we need to kind of fill in, several of which are badges and the uniforms for our summer specials. And it's really would come at no expense to the city, and we would be able to fill the gap there. So with uniform and other items that the city would otherwise have to pay for.
All right. Any questions from the council members? All right. Any from the public, Dave?
Nope, not at this time. Oh, wait a minute. I have Allison Blanchett.
Okay.
Go ahead, Allison. Allison?
Hi, thank you. I had sent an email off to the city council. I'm not sure if you all received it, but I was wondering if you could consider other opportunities with this money. I understand that Police Commissioner Walsh may need some things for his department. However, I just cannot stress enough how horrible it is that the city would put police uniforms ahead of bicycle, pedestrian, and all traffic safety opportunities. For, you know, $7,826, the city could be funding some incredible traffic safety initiatives or programs. One of the most like glaring high costs of unsafe streets are seen in the cost of emergency responses and legal expenses due to lawsuits. You know, just refresh yourself, look back at the draft budget. There's a lot of crash prevention activities that could happen that could save this city a lot more. I just think that the use of $7,826 on police uniforms is not the most like effective use of money. And to me, it just suggests a negative public health and safety message to the residents and visitors that, you know, a city would fund uniforms and not pay for the uniforms out of the budget, and then just completely disregard traffic safety programming. While the rest of the world is looking at Vision Zero, City of Long Beach is continuing this zero vision. I'm asking that you not vote to do this and to, you know, just have a conversation about alternative uses for bicycle auction revenue. And I hope that the commissioner would agree that traffic safety, the consequences of unsafe streets, the costs associated with it are just astronomical. I think we can't afford that, but I'm pretty sure that you could somehow afford police uniforms from somewhere else in the budget. So that's all. Thank you.
So, Mr. Bendo, if you'd just like me to.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you were looking like you were going to say,
Yeah.
something, but I wasn't
I'll just
sure.
quickly respond to that. So these are not traditional police uniforms, just to keep everybody informed. These are for our summer specials. The summer specials are paid, I believe, just below minimum wage or just at minimum wage. We provide them with their uniforms. The uniforms from last year did not come back in a condition where we could actually use them again, so the expenses were much higher. And many of the shields that were there were broken, and so we needed to replace them. And the summer specials also do a lot of pedestrian and bicycle safety, not only on the boardwalk, but also dealing with parking conditions and things like that to increase the safety around the Ocean Beach Park area. So these items are indirectly going to help keep the city much, much safer as well. So I appreciate Allison's comments. And, you know, I would love to entertain some ideas of hers. I know she worked with Mike Corbett quite a bit in our traffic safety, excuse me, the CEO of our traffic department. But if she has ideas where we could be better and better addressing some of her concerns, I would love to have that conversation with her some other time.
And this is John McNally. I would just add that this is not a zero-sum game. There are other funding lines for programs of which Ms. Blanchett speaks. You know, we obviously, COVID over the past year was not a very traditional year in terms of what kind of programs we've been able to implement. But we think the year ahead will be able to accommodate more things along those lines. So again, not a zero-sum game.
Do I have another 30 seconds?
24 seconds.
Okay. Thank you, Police Commissioner Walsh, for that thoughtful response. And I always appreciate talking with Sergeant Corbett. And to McNally's point, yeah, so during COVID, we've seen an incredible rise in the use of bicycles and an incredible rise in walking, and no rise in open streets, no rise in programming, education, PSAs, nothing. Whereas the rest of the world is doing circles around the city of Long Beach in regards to traffic safety.
And that's your time.
So, Okay, I'm just going to ask the council to please table this, or don't vote on this, please. Let's have a conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Allison. All right, anyone else, Dave?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, Leah Tozer.
Okay.
Hi, guys. I just want to say that was, well presented budget and good job there. I wanted to just ask that, for public-private partnerships where there could be some, money coming into the city, like maybe, the marina where there was an RFP that was out and was granted. Are you guys looking into that kind of stuff? Or is that like,
Leah, we're talking about revenue from the bicycle sales. I think your question sounds
I'm
like
so
a good and
sorry. I'm so
welfare.
sorry.
Yeah,
My
okay.
bad.
Save it for good and welfare in a few minutes.
Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, bye. All right, Dave, anyone else?
No, that was it.
Okay, let's move on to the
Give me
next item.
1 second here. Sorry about that. Okay. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing, excuse me, for hearing of a local law amending subpart C of related acts relating to the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding a local law to override the tax levy limit established in general municipal law section 3C. This item is a publication only. A hearing will be held May 18th at 7 p.m. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding water and water distribution. This item is also for publication only. A hearing will be held May 18th at 7 p.m. On to the voting. We've already voted on items 1 through 4. We will start with item number 5, which is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding licenses and business regulations, building code, electrical code, and plumbing code. Excuse me. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will, and God bless you.
Thank you. Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes, and thank you all for the hard work you put into this.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
You were muted, Karen.
Yes.
Okay.
thank you. President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 6 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding Ocean Beach Park. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes,
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
I just want to point out that it's still 25 cents a day to get onto the beach with a family pass. So, yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget. Excuse me. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item? Oh, wait a minute, excuse me. Who would introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
No.
Second,
Who'd you get as the first?
I got, who did I get? McGinnis, Karen McGinnis.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay. Voting, Councilmember Delory,
thank you for the hard work and the great transparency, and I vote yes.
Councilmember Mandel, Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes, and perhaps our police commissioner could have a chat with Ms. Blanchett about some of our ideas and some other funding sources.
Okay, item 8 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of a local law amending subpart C of the related acts related to the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding a local law to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law Section 3C. Who would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes,
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 9 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding water and water distribution. Who would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second,
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second,
I will.
voting, Councilmember Delory,
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel,
Yes.
Councilmember Treston,
Yes.
Vice President McGinnis,
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So on to good and welfare. I think most people know the drill, but 3 minutes. And let's see who's first.
First is Judy Vining.
Okay.
Judy, go
Hi,
ahead
Jude.
and unmute yourself.
I think I did, yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I couldn't get on before, and it's probably a good thing. What I need to say to you guys is, I know that in terms of the off-street parking variance, the vote was in terms of that only. But what we're here to be is a resource for you, and it's not about a yes or a no. It's about how municipalities in the state of New York, where there is preemption, can use local zoning and mercantile licensing fees and regulations to control what may or may not be an oversaturation of alcohol. My concern, of course, on behalf of Long Beach Aware, is that we are adding yet another place in a well serviced area to sell alcohol. Also, how are we going to police it? Are the police department going to decide which ice cream cone to sniff or to taste or to whatever? So that would be the concern about the product. But the process is that you guys have it in your hands time and time again to decide whether or not to grant or not grant whatever zoning variance is, if your overall vision is that maybe we have enough places in this community to sell alcohol when we have an underage drinking rate that is 20% above the state and the county. That's all. That's your decision as a council. Our role is to give you the information. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. All right, Dave, who's next?
Next is Kevin Heller.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that it does seem to me that either by now or very shortly in the future, those adults that want to get vaccinated will have been vaccinated. And I think in the last year or so, we've learned a lot about the transmissibility of COVID in an outdoor setting. So with that all said, I really just wanted to thank you for advocating to New York State to have 100% capacity in Long Beach this summer.
Well, thank you, Kevin. It's look, we all got COVID fatigue and we want to get back to some sense of normalcy in our lives. So the science that closed us down is now saying we can open up. So it's time.
Great. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Who's next, Dave?
Next is Roy Lester.
Hello.
And his dog.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I live in the canals, and the other day we had people coming around giving out a pamphlet or a flyer about the for lack of a better word, pissing contest between the PBA and the commissioner. And it just seems that there's got to be a way that the truth can come out. I don't even know what the truth is. I don't know what's going on. I know a lot of people ask me about it. Is there any way we can have like a public hearing where both parties can, you know, express their dissatisfaction or their grievances, and the public can basically hear, so we're not relying on stuff from social media or or flyers that are given out, or, you know, people that are giving their side or the other side. I mean, it's just not a good thing for the city to be going through this right now. Everybody here loves the police department. I also think that from what I've heard about Commissioner Walsh, she's trying to do the right thing. And it's just not good to have this kind of stress and infighting in a small town like this. Is there anything you guys can put together where people can, you know, listen to both sides and kind of understand the whole concept?
Roy, this is Donna. I did
Yes.
ask PBA to give me in writing a list of all of their concerns for the no vote. The flyer, at this time, I have not received anything from the PBA. However, I am aware of the flyer that went out. We are looking at their complaints about, and I'll let Commissioner Walsh talk about that, about the defunding of one area, no police on the boardwalk, I believe it was. And we're looking at the community plan. And so what we will do is, I can't say that we will have a forum where each side will tell. That type of mediation is typically done in the confounds of the city. However, we will get information out so that we can compare what the PBA is saying, what is actually happening, and with the community plan. So that is in the works.
All right, but can the community be involved so we know what's going on?
Well, you have the community policing plan, and Ron, Commissioner Walsh will talk about that. He will go into that, and that will answer a lot of the questions that's on there.
Don, it's got to be both sides, though.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
The PBA has told you where they stand. And so it's now time for us as the city to make people aware of what is going on and answering their questions. And it's unfortunate that it has gotten to that point, but Mr. Walsh, you can speak up, but we are addressing that.
So the first thing I want to say is I don't look at this as necessarily sides. I am managing a police department, and I've been brought here to make changes, and the changes that I'm making do not meet with the agreement of the union, and that's within their right to make that complaint. One of the things that was in the flyer, Roy, to be very direct with you, is about, like the city manager said, is that about the detective division being slashed and things like that. When I got here, there were 4 members of our detective division, four detectives. I increased that by 2. The question about slashing of narcotics detectives, we used to have 2 that specialized in that. In an effort to try and make sure that we were the most efficient that we can, instead of having 2 that specialize in narcotics, we now have all 6 of our detectives that take narcotics cases. Right now, we're also going to be bringing on a detective sergeant as well after the new fiscal budget comes in, and restaffing that. So there are a lot of disagreements with the management and with the things that I'm doing to try and save money, and also with the pushing of the community policing plan. I mean, I was doing some analysis today. From January through May of last year, we had about 170 or so, don't hold me to the number, but it's going to be put up on the website, community outreaches that were documented in our CAD system. The year before, about the same amount. In that exact same time period this year, we're at 4,900 community documented contacts all over the city, where the officers are getting out of their car and specifically addressing concerns. So there is a difference of opinion. It is not, to your term, a pissing match. I'm managing a police department, and I will continue to do so, and this city will be much better for it. That much I will promise you.
Well, you seem to be doing a good job on that. I just would love it to stop.
I would agree with you. And I met with Mr. Wells last week. I invited him into my office. We sat down and we had conversations, and I am fully engaged in trying to continue that dialogue.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Roy. And who's next, Dave?
William Depper.
Okay.
Yes, hi. First, I just wanted to thank the Long Beach Police Department, especially Police Officer Shear, the desk sergeant, I forget his name, and Detective Trotter. Someone stole my identity, and with their help, as well as Nassau Suffolk Law Services, I was able to find out it was a federal matter. And it was great how well everything worked out. I mean, I had to take identity theft protection, but a lot of us seniors are getting targeted. So before someone lets you know, just check to make sure. Also, I was asked to share this. If anyone is having a problem with eviction or foreclosures, they could contact Nassau Suffolk Law Services in Hempstead at 516-292-8100. Because I don't know if any of you know, but at the end of December of last year, a COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act was passed of 2020. There's two parts of the law of this. So if you have any questions or if you're facing eviction for any reason, just reach out to them. And they said I could share it. And if you're HIV positive, just ask for somebody in the David Project. That's really all I have to say. But Ina, that was a great presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And who's next, Dave?
Paul Fetcher.
Hey, Paul.
Mute. Hey there, John. How are you?
Haven't seen you in a while.
Mr. President. You got to get out on the boardwalk early. Okay, what I wanted to address was the idea of this. As you know, John, a lot of work that I do is with restaurants. I'm a member of the, well, as recently as today, I did a seminar for the New York State Restaurant Association, and I'm also a member of the Long Island Food Council. And one of the things that we have dealt with is alcohol-infused frozen desserts. So to address the concern here really is not founded. It is more of a flavor ingredient than anything else. These are going to be sold in sealed containers. It's an extremely low alcohol content, and there's no more chance of getting a buzz from your ice cream than by having penny olive vodka. So I can understand people's concern with too much alcohol, but that's really not what this product is about.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. We learned something.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next is Kate Tormey.
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you. I have two things to say. I'm interested in the last comment, and I wonder if there's no chance of getting a buzz from it, what's the point? That's my first statement. But the second one is in regard to Ron Walsh. My experience on the Health and Safety Commission has been that Ron Walsh has come forward and put together an idea of enhanced communication in the community, and I think it should be embraced. I was delighted by it, and I think a lot of people in the community would be too. I think we have to have enhanced communications in order to make things more palatable in terms of what services we're delivering, etc. So I just wanted to put in a vote of confidence as opposed to no confidence as far as Ron Walsh goes. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. You know what? I'm gonna, because Commissioner Walsh had said, used a quote, and I went and looked up the context of it. It kind of applies here. You had said that former President Woodrow Wilson had said, if you want to make enemies, try to change something. Well, there was more to that quote. The full quote was, if you want to make enemies, try to change something. You know why it is? To do things today exactly the way you did them yesterday saves thinking. It does not cost you anything. You have acquired the habit. You know the routine. You do not have to plan anything, and it frightens you with a hint of exertion to learn that you will have to do it a different way tomorrow. So I think that applies. So it's all some growing pains. So anyway, who's next, Dave? Well, it looks like Mr.
James
Hodge.
Hodge.
Well, I just wanted to start off by just, I usually come on and speak about a lot of different items, but a lot of people have been coming to me about my employment and about what happened with the city. So I just wanted to go through a little history really quick. And I just want to say that I've always had a great opportunity working for the city. 1989, I started as a rent-a-kid program for Pat McCormick and Angel, the Youth and Family Services at age 13, where I would go from the West End to the East End, cutting seniors' grasses and doing all kinds of things for them. And then from there, I started working for the Highway Department in 1990. And then in 1991, I went into the Animal Control Department and so forth and so on. I've worked for the city for 23 years, and I've done everything that I was told in all of my jobs that I've had. I've had the pleasure of being the animal warden for the city of Long Beach, had the pleasure of volunteering to be an auxiliary police officer for Long Beach and working in the water distribution and the recreation starting programs and helping to diversify like never before the center with being able to bring programs from the east to west and the north. Again, during this pandemic, I was feeding hundreds and hundreds of people. Miss Donna asked me, what was the center going to do? I spoke to her, and you were their president. And I said, we would like to feed. Right then and there, you directed, I think, me and one of the others, I think it was Ryan at the time, to call the superintendent of schools, and we called them. And then, long story short, we started feeding people, and we were feeding 300 and more people a day. Then shortly, a few months in, I received a letter about switching from the beach department back to the water distribution. And then shortly after that, I received a letter saying that I would be terminated May 22nd. Again, I never refused a job. I've asked for my job many times, and I check in with my union president. When Mr. Greg Scott, the union president and the vice president, came here and said what was offered was sanitation, I said I took 2 state tests for animal control. I passed both tests, animal warden, animal control officer. I asked, was it a possibility after 23 years? Could I go there? I have a lot of seniority. I have a lot of bumping rights. Could I go there? I was told I would get back to. No one never got back to me. No one never told me yes or no, but no one never got back to me. So I would like to, again, just state for the record that I have 23 successful years with the city of Long Beach. And I ask publicly that my employment be returned to me as it was taken away from me. Thank you for this time. I appreciate you. The time is always right to do what is right. Martin Luther King. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James, for your information. I will ask your union president to give you a call back and to talk to you. It is my understanding that he has, but if he has not, I will ensure that he will give you a call. And what I will have to say at this time, there is no animal warden or animal control position available. It has not been available. One of the gentlemen that was in animal control, we had 2, we only have 1. He also was laid off, but he did go to sanitation. So I will, in fact, ask Mr. Mooney to give you a call tomorrow and talk to you. And as far as all that you have done for the community, I thank you and for your service. But I will have Mr. Mooney give you a call about no one getting back to you. Thank you.
All right. Who's next, Dave?
Next is Mary Volosevich.
Are we sure this time?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I just want, I'm still awake. Commissioner Walsh was on before. and so was Roy Lester. And as you know, I'm president of the Northeast Bay and Canal for now. And I just wanted to say, I have heard from people that were annoyed about a car being pulled. I understand the concept that he's trying to do, but you have a very large area here in the East End and the canals. And it's this time of year that we see car break-ins. As much as I put up, lock your car. And also people cutting through the canals, going up Neptune, making a left to get to the bridge, and residents alike sometimes going through the stop signs. Several mothers have stopped me to say they're counting the people. So taking that car away did not make them feel comfortable. So I just wanted to put that out there. And, you know, Commissioner Walsh, if he wants to call me, I can definitely give him the names. They fly through Boyd, they fly through Kerrigan, they fly through Forrester. And it is dangerous for young ones. And children have, especially on the north side of Point, they have this sense of safety that it's like, you know, the streets are one way and, well, not on the north side, on the south side, I'm sorry. But cars, you see them in the morning backing up rather than go to the end of the street. And I'm sorry, you know, if this annoys someone that we're saying this, but there are children that walk by themselves. I have seen them. And they think it's okay. They're looking one way where the car should be coming towards them, but now they're backing up, going the wrong way. And you really need to have someone at the school hours with these buses coming through the canals. It's a shortcut, and as it gets warmer, more and more cars come through. And East School is right there on Neptune. There was a sign finally put up after several bicyclists got hit. My husband, one of them, and that no turn on red now off of Park. So there is concern about that car being pulled. And yes, I have heard from the residents in the canals. So I just wanted to put that out there, and he can call me if he'd like, and we can discuss it further. But there is a need here. So now I'm on record for saying that. Thank you.
That's your time.
Thank you,
There you
Mary.
go.
I'll reach out to you, Mary, okay?
That's fine.
You're on mute, John.
Sorry. Who's next, Dave?
That's it. We're done.
That's it. All right. Thank you, everyone. This was a long one. We will have another budget hearing, so you'll have the opportunity to ask some more questions. And we will see you at the next one. And have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.